The purpose of this assignment is to help us practice stopping every so often when we're reading to check our comprehension, to ask ourselves if we can explain what's going on so far. Are we recognizing positive signposts? Do we have some knowledge on the topic? Are we recognizing most of the words? Are we making some connections? Are we able to express what the main idea is or what we've just read in our own words? Or are you experiencing some of the negative signposts? Do you find yourself having to stop a lot? Are you confused about what you're reading even though you've looked at it once or twice? After you view this video, you'll be clicking here on this blue link to download your article that you'll be reading today. And every 2 to 3 paragraphs, I'd like you to stop and ask yourself, what is the section I just read about? Or what have I read so far? What has this article been about? You can always review the notes, those positive and negative signposts, as well as some strategies for checking your understanding. And then I'd like you to, again, at the end of the article, explain what the article was mostly about. And did you feel that you had mostly positive or negative signpost experiences with this article? For practice, I'll be again using this article from our previewing and background knowledge examples. And I'm going to read the section, Love Describes Anxiety During Game. Anxiety disorders are a group of mental illnesses. Like most mental illnesses, anxiety can be treated with medication and therapy. For 29 years, I thought about mental health as someone else's problem, Love said. Love said he was troubled by anxiety during a November 5th game against the Atlanta Hawks. Love said he had been under family stress and hadn't been sleeping well. After briefly losing his breath while playing 15 minutes in the first half, he felt his heart racing. He couldn't catch his breath during a timeout in the third quarter. It's hard to describe, but everything was spinning, like my brain was trying to climb out of my head, said Love. He is a 5-time All-Star, one of the league's best players, and is now sidelined after breaking his left hand last month. The air felt thick and heavy. My mouth was like chalk, he said. He remembered his assistant coach yelling something about playing defense. I nodded, but I didn't hear much of what he said. By that point, I was freaking out. So before I move on to the next section, I need to stop and think about, what did I just read? Kevin Love was at a basketball game and he was overwhelmed by anxiety. Things that he were experiencing was the room spinning. His heart felt like he wanted to jump out of his chest. He struggled to breathe. He wasn't understanding what people were saying to him. And when I think about those things and put it into my own words, I understand what he experienced. And this gives me an idea about what people experience when they have an anxiety attack. So when I think about what this section was mostly about, it was about giving us an idea of what people experience. Now, when I think about the signpost, I felt like I recognized and understood the words. I was able to summarize what it was mostly about. While I was reading, I was thinking about times that I've had high levels of anxiety and making those connections. So I feel comfortable moving on to the next section. And that's one way that you stop and check for understanding. Again, you'll need to create a text box to respond to these 2 prompts. To do that, you click the Submit Assignment button, and your text box will appear in the bottom.